Good evening, everybody. I'm going to call this meeting to order. There's two portions of the meeting tonight. First portion of the applicant asked to come up to the stand over here. There is a sign-in sheet there for when we get to the public address. Please, everybody sign with your name and your address there. The applicant's going to come up to the microphone, hand in your affidavit. You'll have an opportunity to discuss your application with members of the board, ask questions. We'll be able to provide questions back to you. Then the second portion of the meeting, members of the board will review the information that was presented to us. There'll be no communication back and forth with the applicant, and decisions will be rendered at that time. Having said that, I'd like to call application 260801, The Gardens LLC, Farmington, Connecticut. The Gardens LLC, Lot 2, Unionville Avenue, Map 10, Block E. Lot number 2 seeks variance to Article 4, Basic Standard, Section 4.06, Removal and Disposition of Earth Material, Subsection 3, Permitted Activities, and Subsection 4. Allowed for right to permit the deposit, disposition of 34,500 cubic yards of material in lieu of the maximum of 75 cubic yards without the necessary approved development permit for a residentially zoned parcel identified as Map 10, Block E, Lot 2.
Good evening, Mr. Tono. William Galsky, 73 East Main Street, on behalf of the applicant, The Gardens. The Gardens LLC is a limited liability company. It's owned this property since 2017. First of all, I want to make sure you have the small map that I submitted, okay?
Yes, thank you.
I've got a bigger version here. If you have questions, I can hold it up and refer to it too. And then I gave you a copy of the regulations.
No.
The sections that we're looking to apply to for? All right, I'll have to read it off to you. This application is in conjunction with a current special exception application that's pending with the Planning and Zoning Commission. And the overall purpose of the application's special exception is to take material that's down on Route 372 by Crooked Street, where the excavation's going on down there, if you've been down there by Jersey Mike's and that area, and bring the fill over, deposit it in pretty much into the middle of the site where it's been colored on your map there in the yellow, okay? The zoning regulations, and they're quite extensive, for the removal of topsoil and gravel, stone and gravel, and the disposition of material are about 5 pages long. And part of the requirement is that you're only allowed to take 75 yards out without a permit. To give you an example, a typical dump truck that you see that carries material carries about 18 yards. So that's just a little over 4 truckloads of material that can be delivered without a permit, to give you an idea. And if you have a lot, a building lot, for example, that's about a third of an acre, that would take more than the 75 yards to bring in topsoil, for example, if you were building a new home to spread. The one criteria, or the part that we're looking to vary here, is that part of the regulations are you have to be doing the excavation or deposition of the material as part of an approved site plan or subdivision application. So if you think of like the Carriers development over there on Camp Street, you know, they're putting in streets over there and houses and roads. They can bring in an unlimited amount of material as part of their permit, their underlying approval for their zone over there. Similar type thing like when the Robert Jackson Way was developed. It's pretty flat down there, so that's not the best example. But this property is going to be developed in the near future. It was actually part of an application almost 4 years ago that was going to be held before the Planning and Zoning Commission for the development of warehouse space. And the public hearing had even been scheduled when the end developer or the end purchaser backed out and the application was withdrawn. So as part of this, what we're looking to do is to do more than the 75 square yards without a permit and without, well, to do more than the 75 square yards and to do it without an underlying permit for like a subdivision or the construction of a building or whatever. Now, the regulation for the 75 square yards applies to any size property that you have. So if you have a lot that's in a subdivision that's a quarter of an acre, it's the same regulation whether you have, in this instance, almost 35 acres. We don't have too many pieces of property left in town with a great amount of acreage. There's this one, which is on Route 177. Tilcon obviously owns quite a bit of property up in the hills, but other than that, there aren't a lot of good-sized, probably more than 5 acre pieces of property that this regulation would apply to. So there's the uniqueness in that aspect there. And the regulation seeks to protect against unfavorable things that might happen to, if you weren't in close proximity to residents, like noise, interruption during the day. It also talks about inland wetlands, potential danger to inland wetlands. This property, or the area that's looking to be developed, is from the nearest neighbor down in the southwest is approximately 300 feet to the property line. And then up in the other corner in the northeast, it's 400 feet to the property line. So it's a significant distance away. It's also more than the 100-foot setback from the inland wetlands that are shown in blue on your map. Okay, so the plan is that the trucks would get loaded up over on New Britain Avenue, come across on Route 72, get off at the North Washington Street exit, drive up the road to Unionville Avenue, and come into an existing curb cut where there's a gate. I don't know if you drove by the property and saw the gate and the sign. That area was cleared and developed quite a few years ago when a sewer line runs through there that services the neighborhood to the northwest of this property, the Tyler Farms Road development. So they'd utilize that road area coming in and doing the math for 34,462 square yards, at 18 yards per truckload. That's 1,914 trips. It's projected to do 32 trips a day, one trip every 15 minutes roughly. So that comes out to be 60 days. 60 days at 5 days a week is 12 weeks, and we anticipate that there will obviously be a significant number of days where, due to the weather, that they won't be working. They're also dependent on the crusher that's crushing the rock when it gets excavated, and that's currently broken down. So there's issues with that. The hours will be normal working hours, and they may be shortened by the Planning and Zoning Commission. They'll be regulating that, looking at that, and that's because there's evidently a school bus stop in the neighborhood over there on Route 177. And 177, as you know, is probably one of the busiest traveled highways we have in town during the rush hour. During the rest of the day, it still carries a significant amount of traffic, but we don't believe that approximately 4 trips an hour, one every 15 minutes, will be a detriment to the area. So that's essentially it. Again, the uniqueness is the size of the property in relation to anything else that the regulation seems to seek to protect. The Planning and Zoning Commission will take this up again in 2 weeks from tomorrow night at its regular scheduled meeting as part of its public hearing. With me is John Sinise. He's the principal of the Gardens, and he's also doing the development over on New Britain Avenue. If you have any questions, if I can't answer them, he will.
Okay, anything else to share?
Yeah, one point. This application is kind of like what you do with the 4th of July when they sell the firecrackers, fireworks. It's only for a limited period of time. I mean, we projected it might probably be 6 months, but it's going to stop. It's not going to go on forever. And good part of it, with the timing we have now, would take place during the winter, too.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Galsky.
Thank you.
So, are questions from members of the board? Ms. Shaw,
I think you
we'll start with you.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, John had just said to me that the intent here is to build a base in the area for future development. That it would raise the elevation of the ground about 5 feet in that particular area. And with it, there's gonna be, through the Planning and Zoning Commission, the soil erosion and sedimentation plans and all that, but that's the intent of it, to get the property ready for future development.
Well, that kind of contradicts what you said earlier, right? This is intended to be temporary. If it's meant to be part of the future development, then it's intended
Well,
to stay.
yeah, I mean, this excavation will be temporary. Once it's done, then the property will be one step further along the way. Is that clear?
As mud.
As mud?
As mud.
Okay, well, if it was being done as part of an application to go in, the site would have to get prepared first. Have to elevate it, bring in the base for what they would do for, building roads, things like that. So with the material that's over there on New Britain Avenue, bringing it in ahead of time is a precursor, if you will, to a formal application for permanent development.
So what's the geotechnical aspect
Go
of
ahead.
the material that's going to be brought over there?
Pardon?
What's the geotechnical aspect of the material that's going to be brought over there? It's structural fill?
Yeah, so
You'll need to
John
state your
Sinise,
name and address, please.
John Sinise with the Gardens LLC. So we're developing the site on New Britain Avenue. That material needs to be, we have the permit to excavate and remove, right? But we're crushing it, turning it into 3-inch minus product, right? So we've been crushing and we've been utilizing that product in other areas, other developments, and selling it. But we are going to be coming in with an application for the Tyler Farm piece. It's in the early planning stages, but it's not really ready yet to come before the town. But we definitely know we need 40,000 yards of material on the Tyler Farm site. So we're going to have to bring in 30 to 40,000 yards on that site for that development because it's too low to get the drainage to work. So it needs to come up so the drainage for the development can properly move through the system into the storm drainage on the highway. So looking at that, we have the material here we need to remove. Instead of taking it off site to another town, we know we need it. We're going to have to bring it in eventually. We want to bring it in now. So the mission is to remove, crush from New Britain Avenue, bring it to Tyler Farms, temporarily put it in a storage pile, which is like 5 foot high, so it's not too high. It's pure crushed rock, red rock. So there's no issues with silt and runoff with it. And once we get the development approved for Tyler Farms, that product will then be dispersed in lifts so that site can get developed. And that's pretty much why we are here to seek approval to, we'll call it temporarily store material for the development of that property. So it's not going to be going there and coming out. It's going to go there and stay there. That's the plan.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
you guys have a mountain of stone over by that property on New Britain Avenue.
Yes.
What would you estimate cubic yards, that mountain of stone, that big pile of stone?
The uncrushed material or the balance of material needed to be crushed is probably 50,000 yards.
Okay, so you're asking for 34.5,
Right.
and you're saying that there's possibility that it'll be more than 34.
We're not going to bring more than that there, we'll sell the rest because we don't want to overbring in material. So we know we need 35,000 yards, 40,000 yards. We'd rather be under because the last thing we want to do is truck to a site to have to truck it off again.
Are you
So-
still using explosives? You're still removing the stone from the mountainside,
That's already been blasted.
and that's all you're going to blast.
We're blasting to City Oil, to the edge of City Oil.
So
There's
there's
one more
more.
shot, one more shot that has to get done for City Oil's property. So I would say 80% of the blasting is done.
And you said 1,914 trips. Did I hear you right, Bill?
Yeah,
And that would be, now that's truckloads on that roadway with all the traffic.
talking 4 loads an hour.
Roughly 32 trucks a day.
Any other questions, Mr. Underwood?
No, that's it.
Back to you, Ms. Shaw.
Thank you. So I have a couple things. What was a traffic survey done already for this area to take in all this movement into consideration?
Oh, yeah. This development was going to be, we had a development coming into town for 450,000 square feet of distribution.
So
We
they,
have a traffic study for that development that never was never really vetted. It was submitted and withdrawn. So the road can definitely handle. Well, you got.
I meant for the current project that you will be doing. I'm not talking about for anything prior. I'm talking about for the current traffic of bringing in and out.
The 4 trucks. It's insignificant. That's not even a. There's no reason that, I mean, we have a traffic study for the commission if you liked it. It's for way more traffic than that. It's probably for several hundred truck movements a day.
Correct. Well, that would be part of it. Also, what was my concern is that it's near like you said, the sewage line. Relatively, it looks like, according to this map, it would be more closer to that than the wetland, inland, other side of the map. What are your procedures to make sure that nothing is going to be blockading that area in case there's a break, maybe something leaks, or whatever, and that they need to have access to that, because that's important as well.
So-
I'm sure that's more of a water department thing, but that would be
We developed that site. So we built that sewer line. That sewer line's probably 10 feet deep, maybe deeper. And that gate that's there is the access gate for the easement area, which the town has full access to. The town actually has the lock to that gate if there's any problems with the manhole structures on that site. Because that sewer line services
correct.
Tyler Farms. We built that development.
And as far as the drainage, you said it's going to be going into the highway drainage system for whatever the runoff is with this. Is that correct?
Not this. For the development of this property.
Okay.
Once this property is in town for development, for construction, we would be building a drainage system, which needs to flow. We have a wetland there, so you have a discharge point into the wetlands and or the state drainage system on 177. So that work is not even, that's not part of this. This is just strictly bringing in crushed material, putting it in a designated area for storage.
I understand, but I'm taking into consideration all facts because it makes it look like that, as they said, that even though there was a time limit as far as bringing the material in and out, that there's also going to be future development at this site.
Yeah, there will be
So
development.
are the plans,
Let me just say, when you develop the future plans, the final plans, it has to be done so that the site holds the stormwater with a zero runoff.
but as far as the future plans, we don't have any ideas to what they are that you are considering.
Yeah, well, we have
So-
ideas, but we have not engineered the plans yet. Originally, we were doing industrial, right? That got scrapped. The market changed on industrial, a large distribution spaces. So now we're revisiting alternative plans. The property is zoned for mixed-use development. Mixed use meaning it can be industrial, residential, business, a combination of all three.
Not right
now.
That's
what
we were looking to do.
Yes.
So I have a question for you, Bossy. Now I see on the site where it says there, this one, sorry, I'm sorry, let me just place over. It says, is it near like a residential area? But if my understanding is you wouldn't put some industrial in a residential area, correct?
Well, right now it's zoned R20. Owners of property have every right to petition a zone change. Whether a zone change would be approved, that's up to planning and zoning. There's a lot of traffic on Route 177. Single-family residential uses may be determined not appropriate for the area. They might have some other ideas on how to develop that particular site that would be advantageous to the town.
State doesn't want any more lights.
And so, I mean, right now, it's zoned for residential, there's 35 acres, it's R20, so you could expect somewhere, if that was developed into somewhere a little bit less than
Residential.
70 building lots.
It's approved for that.
Some degree, maybe between 60 and 70 building lots.
In the
That's what theoretically you could probably put there. But I mean,
Still residential.
that may not be what the applicant, the P and Z would pose, and maybe P and Z would be open to a zone change. They were open in some senses to the previous PDD introduction. Unfortunately, it never moved forward, so there wasn't a decision made either way, because the end user, I guess, backed away from the deal.
Where there is, I'm sorry, excuse me, the Plan of Conservation and Development, which is the 10-year plan that the Planning and Zoning Commission puts out, and it's been 7 years since we did the last one. But it calls for that area along Route 177 to be, an industrial area similar to what's on Northwest Drive where Ferguson is. That's what the Plan of Conservation Development calls for.
That was considered light industrial, correct?
Yes.
And there is an aquifer there.
The,
No.
no, it's not in the
There
Aquifer
isn't.
Protection Zone. No, not this one.
It's
It's
just
the only site left in
just
town
outside the
that's not
protection zone.
impacted.
The previous application that was the PDD, Plan Development District application, under the Planning and Zoning Commission, called for probably 70% of the site being industrial, and then up near Johnson Avenue, high-density residential in there, apartment buildings. Planning and Zoning Commission like the idea that there would be residential across the street from residential houses along Unionville Avenue there. And then the industrial buildings would have been in the back. But again, that didn't go forward.
Isn't this area, though, if I'm not mistaken, not too far from the cancer treatment center too? If that's the area.
You're on the wrong end of town.
Okay, so I'm just making sure that wasn't the same thing I was thinking of. But and also according to this map, so even though it's so many hundreds of feet away from the inland wetland, this material, and like they said, I understand you're not building anything near it because you're not supposed to. But my thing is also the fact of any kind of, even if there's no runoff, any kind of thing, such as when it rains or any kind of residue, if you will, or anything getting absorbed into. So what would be containing it from certain areas to not, like, what is your procedure to any of this stuff that's not going to go into certain areas it should not go?
Well, the site plan for the deposition of the soil will require soil erosion and sedimentation controls around the perimeter of the site. But most of the material, all the material that's going in there is rock. It's not like fine sand or silt that would tend to erode.
So we're 300 feet roughly from any wetland. So we would not disturb that. It's vegetated. It's a meadow. So the area where the storage material would be at would be on sand. That's coarse sand over there. So any rain that rains on Northwest Drive disperses into the soil. It's not hard pan. So any rain that collects over the rock is going to immediately discharge into the sand, and you will not have any erosion issues at all.
And what's the total height that you plan on?
5 feet.
5 feet? And what is the total height of anything that you plan on stacking? Like the
5 feet.
piles? Just the piles are going to be 5 feet?
We're spreading out the material over 2 acres.
Okay.
So it'll be roughly 5 foot high,
Okay.
give or take. I mean, it could end up 5 to 6 feet.
Any other questions?
No, I think I got most of them.
Sir?
So, you mentioned about uniqueness. Try to explain to me what is the hardship? Because when we sit here, we usually give approval to applicants when they are facing a hardship.
Well, again, it has to do with the size of the property. And the fact that what the regulation looks to protect, close neighboring properties, environmental issues, noise, the time of when you'd be operating, things like that, don't necessarily apply because this site is so big. It's 34 acres. It's not a quarter of an acre or a half an acre where you have the same regulation. The same regulation applies no matter how big your property is, and it applies no matter what your zone is. We have like 9 different zones in this town, and there's no distinction between, residential zone, industrial zone, commercial zone. And I think the reason that this regulation has never been utilized that much, if you will, is because so many projects come in with a final project in mind. All right?
I see, I understand. So basically, you are challenging the regulation.
Yeah, and I mean, they don't even have a stepped-up provision, like, it's 75 yards if you're a quarter of an acre. It's 75 yards if you're 34 acres. A little bit of, I don't want to say common sense, but rationale might say, okay, well, if you've got 5 acres, we'll give you 200 yards. And if you got 10 acres, we'll give you 4, there's no stepped-up relationship to the size of the property compared to what you're looking to do.
Understood. So what you are saying basically is that the regulation should be revised in the future. That's one thing. And the other thing I have a problem is that you are starting a project when you are putting this 35,000 yards. You are initially starting the execution of a new project without any approval. So,
That's the nature of this application.
yeah, so basically you are initiating another project without any plans, without any idea about the end use. You are also talking about zone change here. So you are just asking for us to give you approval of something where you don't have an idea of what you are doing, and you do not, usually you should get an approved plan, approved site plan, and then start filling it. Then there would be no problem. So this is, you have any answer for this?
There's the opportunity here to do something that's going to need to have to be done anyway. And there's the opportunity to utilize rock that's already in town and take it from one site to another site.
So let's just take that one step further. I understand what you're saying, and I totally get that you may need the material, but without having a development there in mind, how do you know what the topos are going to be? How do you know what the grading is going to be? How can you all come in here and tell us that you're going to need 35,000 square feet, cubic yards,
So we did the development plans for the industrial development.
which has been squashed?
Correct, but we did all the grading and all the drainage calcs. So we know what we need to develop the site.
To replicate that project.
Well, then it would have to come back. It would come in. So look at, the reason why we're doing this is because we have a project there that we know we need to move material, instead of moving the material off-site to another location, other towns, whatever, in knowing that we got to bring it back, we're going to have to resource and get material back to Plainville, to this development. This site's going to get developed. You know, we're a little late. Maybe we should have kicked the can quicker on this one to get it approved, but we're taking our time because we're going to make sure we do the right project here.
Right.
We don't
So
want to be
that
hasty.
comes back to the second
But
part of it, where Mr. Gelski asked
Thi-
about a time
this-
frame associated.
This material from New Bern Avenue is getting that project so they can get off to get the pads done for other tenants. Now, the opportunity is here for us. We have the material here, right? And we know we need it on a site we own not too far away. And the traffic pattern's really comfortable for movement of traffic. And when you develop a site, you don't know where the material is coming from. It can come from 5 different sites. It could be a mixed bag of material where it's not all generically the same, right? Because to buy 30,000 yards, you may have to go to Bristol, you may have to go to Farmington, you know, wherever, Southington, bring it all in and mix it up, right? We know we got virgin material here. We know what it is. We know it meets the criteria for structural fill, and we control it. So we want to take the opportunity to bring it to the site we own, knowing that we're going to be developing it. If the commission doesn't feel that's appropriate, we're still going to move with the material, but it's going to be moved somewhere else because we have to move the project forward over here. We kind of stalled it a little bit to get this completed, to get the approval here to store it on our site. That's why we're here, straight, you know.
So I'm just gonna ask my question again. I'm gonna ask my question again, Mr. Gelski. The material that's coming in here, you're trying to present it and bring it into the site without having an approved
Site plan.
Right. So in order for us to put a time frame on it, like you asked previously in relation to the fireworks item, so let's say we put a 6-month time frame on this. Are you going to be prepared to be able to develop this site in 6 months?
Well, it's going to take longer than that to get the approvals.
That's
Because-
what I'm asking you.
Yeah,
We
this-
certainly wouldn't give you a
Move the stone.
5-year.
Just
Oh, move this material
in 6 months.
in 6 months?
No. In order for you to be able to do it under the regulations, you would have to have your site plan approved and be starting to your development, correct?
I don't know about that. We're looking to store
Without
material.
this variance, yeah, you'd have to have an approved site plan.
Correct.
And the site plans are good for 10 years, so you wouldn't have to start right away. But you'd have your approval, and you could start moving material.
Right. So isn't that the better route? Get that figured out? Then
That
you don't
material will be
need us?
moved before that happens.
Well, the material's available now, and we can take advantage of, if you can save some time now, you don't have to do it later on. It's still gotta be done. It's still going to be done.
Yes, acknowledged. Superly acknowledge, understand the fact that the material needs to come in no matter what, and that you'd like to bring it from there. My question is, and still has not been answered, the time frame in which you're going to start the development. You asked us to put a time frame to it similar to what we do for the fireworks, the 30 days. Not even 30 days, 15 days for fireworks.
You're not, yet, for us to get a site plan,
No, I don't. Are you asking how much time are we asking for to be able
Yes.
to do this?
Yeah, you brought the reference up, so I'm trying to get an idea of what your thought process is.
no, he's asking,
After the 6 months, you plan on starting to develop that site.
no, Tyler Farms, for that site to get approved, by the time we do the engineering, get through town, wetlands,
That's what Mr.
ZBA.
Zimmer was asking you.
you're probably by, I would say, 9 months out, then you need DOT.
Mhm.
And the longest
Mr. Smith,
process
you
and
say
development
DOT, but
on
you said
something
you've
like that
already
would be
done that study.
DOT.
You say you've already done the study for the industrial.
But you still need all the state of Connecticut, when you go to DOT, we're doing a project in Berlin Turnpike, 2 years.
Understood.
It took
Okay,
us
so that's a perfect point. So you're asking us to allow this material to sit here for 2 years while you get your approval process?
Yes.
That's what I'm asking you, Mr. Gelski.
Yeah.
What is the time period that you're asking this board to give you approval to let it sit here?
That's undetermined. We're just asking you to move the material within a 6-month period. Okay, so the job would start and it would be done in 6 months. It wouldn't keep dragging out. But
Okay.
until the application time, I'm sorry, if that's what you're asking, we can't answer that.
He's asking about like the time to develop. Yeah. Just so I would say we're minimum 2 years out, at least, because of DOT, 100%. Because we may have to put a signal, and that's OSTA. So all that, there's layers and layers of approvals on the state level.
I get it. That's why I wanted you guys to say it out loud.
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Juno, any other questions?
I had a few that were answered, but you had said that you have to raise that land about 5 feet, when in your application you say that the land is flat. So why do you have to raise it 5 feet?
No, we're not raising the site 5 feet. The storage area, the material that we're storing, we're gonna keep it at 5 feet high, so you don't see a
That's
pile.
what you said, you were raising it 5 feet.
No, not the site. The overall site, probably 18 inches. The overall,
When you spread it over the usable acreage.
yeah. This material is only being brought in for future development to raise the site up to accommodate the drainage. And it's not 5 feet, it's only 18 inches overall. We're talking a 25 acre site.
Mr. Montez, I had asked the question of the definition of the hardship that is needed here, and I don't think that it's been answered also. And you know that's one question that we always ask.
Well, the hardship, again, is the application of the amount of material relative to the size of the property.
You say that, but you don't know, and we don't know what your future plans are going to be. You say that it's going to be developed. We understand that, but we don't know what you're going to develop it as. That is one of the questions that everybody has asked tonight. Whether it's going to be industrial, whether it's going to be residential, we don't know. There's too many what-ifs on this.
It's gonna be a residential component with maybe some industrial. It will be.
Okay, mixed use. Again, I just think that there's too many what-ifs on this application. That's my opinion. Thank you.
I think it doesn't really matter from a developer standpoint what it's going to be. It's going to need fill no matter what you do. That's the point.
Okay. Any other questions, members of the board?
Nope.
Anything else you want to present, Mr. Gelski?
I don't think so unless you have more questions. When you look at the plan here, originally, the plan, I'm gonna get in and talk about Ferguson. The way that's gonna get developed. I
Yeah,
don't know that it's
yeah.
relevant, but I'll give you a picture of what's gonna happen here. The piece as you look at the map here, the piece to the left, it's identified as 16 acres. That was originally part of the whole that was gonna be developed 4 years ago. That 16 acres has recently been sold to Ferguson for their projected future use of their property. And when you drive down 177 there, probably 300, 400, 500 feet to the north of where the sign is posted, you saw the sign out there? There's the hill, right? And the old Tyler homestead used to be up on that hill. You can expect that hill will all come down eventually because it's all sand. And along the way there, the original plan that was promoted 4 years ago would have widened Route 177 in there as well. So probably within 3-4 years, there's going to be significant changes out there between Mr. Sinise's work and what Ferguson will do.
And Ducci Electric's to the north of that, which is industrial.
Okay. I don't have any further questions. Anybody else? Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I was gonna ask Bossy something.
Hmm?
Doesn't something normally in certain areas need to go through DEP or EPA?
Yeah, he has to do all that. Okay, this time I'll take the opportunity, but in the audience would like to speak for or against this application. When you come up to the microphone, please, there is a sign-in sheet, as I mentioned earlier. Put your name and your address on it. We will be limiting the public speaking to 30 minutes if need be, so please keep it timely. If there's anybody who would like to speak, more than welcome to come to the microphone.
Benjamin Getterman, 5 Dickman Road. I want to make it very clear, I am here as a private citizen. My views do not reflect the town council at all. I can answer a bunch of your questions. No, there is no traffic study. It never was completed, and it was from 4 years ago for an industrial zone. So the answer should have just been a no. Next question, no, there is no hardship. He's assuming that this R20, a residential area, is going to be converted or get a zone change for industrial. I can't see the future. Neither can he, unless he knows something we don't. Planning and zoning raised many concerns about this, and by the way, their story has changed quite a bit from 3 weeks ago. Planning and zoning raised the noise issue. 300 feet isn't that far, especially in a sand pit. Traffic, there's a bus stop at the corner of Dickman Road across the street from the entrance to this property. From 6:45 to 8:45 every day, there's a bunch of little kids standing out there. And if you try to pull out of Dickman Road anytime between 6:30 a.m. and 8:30 or 9, you can't. You have to turn right. Pulling out of that spot, out of their lot, it's so overgrown, and with the hill and the curve, you can't see up that street. They just can't. I don't care what they say. 4 trucks an hour, 4 dump trucks crossing traffic. Yeah. That's a huge impact. And there's no plan. Why would we open this can of worms for anything? And I don't care if the regulation says 75 cubic yards, no matter how big your property is. Clearly there's a reason for it, and they're it. We don't use it as a storage yard. Sell your stone and buy more when you finally figure out what you're going to do. This is just ridiculous. You open this can now, it never gets closed. And it doesn't matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McGettigan. Is there anyone else in the audience who'd like to speak for or against the application?
Rick Solomon, 38 Tyler Farms Road. Everything he said. You had all the right questions. You didn't get them all answered. He answered them. I would think the same answers. There's no plan. If there's no plan, why would we let something of that significance, 1,000 truckloads? Come on, 1,000 truckloads. That's a lot. That's a big project that needs a plan. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else in the audience like to speak for or against? Welcome to come up.
Mark Bialko, 15 Julie Road. To say that this road could handle the truckload of traffic is wrong. Then they must have never sat in rush hour traffic. Rush hour traffic will start at around Gem Centers all the way to the highway. In literally 4 o'clock, going back the same way. To put a development there, residential, commercial, it's impossible to take a left off Grainer Lane or Dickman or anything else. Never mind another residential across the street of maybe 60 houses, 40 houses. you cannot allow this. There's just too much traffic already there. Construction trucks, tractor trailers, buses, you name it. People from Farmington coming in to get on the highway, and vice versa at 4 o'clock. So he's going to put his last nail in a house or in a construction building. He's going to be gone. Those buildings are going to stay there forever, and we're going to be living with it, with the traffic and everything else. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else for or against this application?
I like what I heard tonight.
Sorry, can you
From you
state your
guys.
name and address?
David Garuski, 17 Jude Road.
Thank you.
I live right across the street from this proposal that they're looking to do. I just want to say 4 years ago, the other builder that wanted to come in there didn't just back out, he was shut down. 177 was condemned as one of the busiest roads in town. And they said there's no way the traffic could handle another neighborhood in there. They got away with the other Tyler Farms over off Camp Street area because the people come out that way. Putting any more traffic on 177? Are we kidding me? I've had times where I've called the Plainville Police Department, have them come down to stop traffic so I could get out. It's not just 7:30 to 9, it's all day. And you guys want to, he's coming in saying, I'm just going to put rock in there and then we're going to build it later. There's no plan. There's nothing. They just want to move this rock because, first of all, I don't know if he's doing the excavation over there, but there's been times where I've driven through there on a rainy day over by Jersey Mike's where they're excavating. I had to go to the car wash after because the mud on the road. All right, so he does a crappy job to start with. And when Phoenix Soil pulled in over here, one of the regulations, because of the wetlands and because of all the contamination coming in and out, they were required to have a sweeper there and clean the street constantly. I've never seen a sweeper run up and down there. But I've had to wash my car 2 or 3 times on a rainy day because I made the mistake of driving over there. All right, so he's going to do a crappy job, I can tell you that. Pulling in a 177 with this red rock, that stuff isn't rock. It's not crushed Tilcon's quarry stone. It's red silt rock. The runoff in that is going to be in the Quinnipiac down the street. It's going to be everywhere. He's going to try to contain it. It's not going to happen. You're not going to happen. That's a lot of fill. I'm in construction. I worked for the town of West Hartford my whole life. I know what 1,000 truckloads of dirt is or stone. That's ridiculous what he's looking to move into there. And he's talking about putting houses in there. That's a whole nother plan. I mean, or commercial buildings or whatever he wants to put in there. He doesn't even know what he wants to do with it. He just wants to get rid of the rock because he's got nowhere else to put it. So they go dump it down there. That's what it's going to come down to. And then they'll spread it around and who knows? Maybe you guys will approve houses down the road. Well, if you do, you're not going to put them out on 177. All of them cars coming out on 177 is going to be a nightmare. You've addressed that. You know that. I don't know if any of you guys live down in that area, but I'm living in my grandfather's house, 1965. It used to be quiet and nice over there. Now I get a headache thinking about trying to pull out during rush hour. It's never going to happen. Until that turns into a 4-lane road, we've applied for stoplights so we can get out of our streets. He's got somebody living down on Julie. They know what it's about. You can't get out of there. And now you're going to put dump trucks crossing traffic on 177 to pull in, and you're going to have a mess on that road with these guys coming out because they're going to drag stuff in and drag it out. They're not coming out with clean tires, and 177 is going to be a dirt way all the way down. I've seen his work, and it sucks. Period. He's a messy contractor, and to do what he wants to do over there, he does not have a plan. well, we might build commercial, we might build houses. You can't build in there. I'm on 177, right there. I got bears in my neighborhood every week. The deer are running around. There's nowhere for them to go anymore. And I see a lot of bears and deers going over into that property, and they're living over there. I'm not saying the wildlife have a right to that property, but when do we stop building? When does Plainville stop building? Look at this monstrosity over by J. Timothy's. Talk about an eyesore. You got a 3-story building on the side of the road. That is the ugliest looking building I've ever seen in my life. And how that got approved, I'll never know. But we just keep building and building and building. We're not going to be happy until Plainville doesn't have a square inch left. I'm totally opposed to this. Without a plan, don't even think about approving this. Thank you for your time, and I like what I hear from you guys. You guys are on top of this, and you see through it. And they come in with a piece of cardboard paper. Nobody could see it. Put it up on a board so we can see what you're doing. Coming in off of 177 is not the answer. Even if they did develop that, they shouldn't be able to dump the cars out on 177. They should be able to have to go around to Camp Street or whatever. 177 cannot handle no more traffic. God forbid there's an accident on the highway. You might as well just go back in your house and wait till it clears because you can't get out of there. So I appreciate your guys' time. I didn't even want to talk tonight, but I opened my mouth. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for your time. Is there anyone else like to speak for or against the application? Once, twice? Okay, thank you very much. Members of the board, make a suggestion we move into the second session of the meeting.
So moved.
Okay. So, Mr. Bassi, earlier communication I had with you discussed the time frame. Just want to make sure we had it on the table for bringing materials onto the site with a time frame similar to the fireworks. I do not think that that's applicable to this situation.
Well, first of all, the fireworks is a temporary easement. It's under a temporary section.
Okay.
You can try to put a time limit on any of your actions. I don't know, I mean, a variance goes with the land.
Right.
It's forever usually.
Forever.
So I don't know what, legal grounds we would have to defend a time frame that's put on it. So, I mean, if you said that the work needed to be done in 6 months, a year, whatever, if a project didn't proceed after it, I don't know whether or not there would be any grounds for us to halt the action. I don't think that's applicable in this particular case. I mean, granted, there's going to be an end to the activity only because the material on New Britain Avenue is going to dry up or be moved someplace else, and there's going to be development there. But that doesn't mean that your variance wouldn't mean that it has to come from New Britain Avenue. It would be 30,000 yards from wherever.
Yep. Okay. No, I just want to make sure everybody on the board understood the timeframes that a temporary variance is not applicable to this
So
as it was to the fireworks.
We cannot put a time frame for this
No.
approval?
No.
Like 3 years, for
No.
example, for them to get the approval?
Well, I mean, I'm not an attorney, but what I do know about a variance is it goes with the land. So like when you grant a variance for a side yard requirement or whatever, it's there forever. The person could demo the house and still have the variance. I mean, an example of it is there are variances for people that have chickens. They were granted in the 30s and 40s, probably during the Depression or during World War II. If a person was wise enough to dig it up, he could have chickens, even though it's against the rules now. So it must have been against the rules then too, but to get a variance. But I mean, variances go with the land.
And my other question, John, is can we stipulate a time for them for the movement? Like if they move it during the night? And
Well, I mean, this application is a little different than most of your variances
If we-
because it's connected directly with
Yeah.
the special exception that P&Z has to grant.
Yeah, but
So
right now we are.
they're asking for,
No, what I'm saying is that if we give a conditional approval that the hauling will be done at night, for example, that is something which I may be okay with personally, with a time frame. These two things.
No. That would be disruptive to the neighborhood.
see, the issue that why this gets complicated is, the reality of it is they're either asking for a variance for more than 75 yards, or they're asking for a variance of not having a development plan. They're intertwined. So if you go over 75 yards, you have to have a development plan. If you had 75, so if you increase the number for, if you give a variance for 30,000, let's say, okay, that
Yeah,
that
I
ties
think-
in with the no development plan.
No.
If you give a variance for an absence of a development plan, then the number doesn't matter.
So if we give a variance with a 3-year time limit and a restriction on the traffic movement, is it a possibility?
Well, anything's a possibility, but I would refrain from a time limit, because I don't think that we could enforce a time limit.
Correct. That's why I brought it up, guys, so that everybody understood the constraints and that it's not the same as the firework issues we deal with every year.
My problem with this is that it's still pending over in planning and zoning.
That's why we are giving
Well-
3 years.
It's pending in planning and zoning because they're not in compliance with the zoning regulation. That's why it's pending. If they were bringing in 75 yards, it would be by right. If they had a development plan, it would go on to the special exception, and they would consider all the other aspects of what to approve.
But if you okay something, even if it's just for the whatever, right? The acreage, usage, zoning, whatever. But then basically us okaying that, right? Even though it was pending in there because of that, but you're also saying what it's not used for.
They're not tied together. The applications are not tied together.
If you were to grant a variance, basically you take away the requirement for either 75 yards or a development plan. That's what you're varying. You're basically saying, well, in this particular case, we feel as the zoning board of appeals that there is no need to be able to no need for a development plan, or there's no reason why somebody can bring in 30,000 yards without a development plan. That's what you're deciding if you grant the variance.
Right.
It goes on at planning and zoning. They have a lot of other details that they can tack on to their special exception. But what you're doing is you're opening the door and basically allowing the person to put that 1 foot in and now just deal with the details.
Okay, so I haven't said that. Do I have a motion to bring application 260801 to the table, please?
So move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Tuno provides second. Mr. Underwood? Comments?
I agree with everybody as far as the traffic goes. I lived on Hittleman Court for the longest time, 14 years. And every time I took a left-hand turn out of my driveway, I was almost committing suicide. So the traffic is very heavy. I agree with the public there. That's my comment. Oh, I'm against the application without a site plan.
Mr. Tuno?
I'm against the application. Like I said before, there are just too many what-ifs. There's nothing in place, no plan in place or anything, so I'm not in favor.
Yeah, I'm okay with the application with the two constraints as I mentioned. If you can put a time limit and a traffic movement, then in principle, I think it would be doable. But only if those two constraints are in the approval.
Ms. Shaw, comments?
I'm against this, and same reasoning as the other two. There's no concise site plan. There's a lot of things that I'm not okay with. And there's a lot of questions that are still, that I would want like actual proof of, meaning before to even show, like, okay, this is what we're gonna do, like an actual site plan, this is the proof of whatever, that's proof of the survey, anything like that. And then my other thing that really, they said they have more blasting to do, and I'm thinking,
Not
there's,
applicable. Not applicable.
I understand that, but I'm just saying is the overall hardship of that much space, and that what they're asking for, I can't see what the hardship is. So I'm not,
Thank you. So I do agree with the comments made so far. We are missing a site plan approval, which will make this a little bit easier for us to understand the implications to what they're trying to bring over here. The hardship has not been met. I do have a concern about the material coming over here. If we had a proctor in front of us to prove that this was structural fill, I may consider it that this is real material that's coming over here. I don't believe the material that's over there that's being crushed on site will pass a proctor for structural fill. So that's one of my main concerns. I'm also against this applications that's presented this evening. So all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
I,
Opposed? Nay?
Hey.
See,
no, I thought you meant, I agree with what you said, I'm sorry.
would you like to do it again, please?
Yes, sorry.
All in favor of this application, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay,
Nay.
Nay. Thank you.
a long day,
Great job, guys.
12 hours.
Okay, so I have a motion to accept the regular meeting minutes of June 8th, 2026.
Make a motion?
Second.
Mr. Underwood provides second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Executive session, John, anything?
No, there's no executive session.
Bills, communications, nothing, anything for next month so
We
far?
have a variance over in Shuttle Meadow area for
Sorry, I felt bad.
rear yard and side yard.
Been working over 12 hours.
Okay. Okay, any other comments?
No.
Discussions? Okay, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you.